The worst assigned reading.
Very boring.
Yeah, I was not a fan.
I hated it so much.
I'm not well versed in Old English.
It is all the misery.
After that, I was kind of scarred for life.
Reading Howard's End in high school, it wasn't the book. It was the fact that we read it and dissected every word. Why did he write it? Why do you think he wrote it? Why didn't he write it? What did you like about this character? Just every little detail. I really hated reading that book. But a couple of years later, I reread it and I enjoyed it. I mean, it's a good book, but that one just stands out in my mind. I hated it at the time. I thought, because I didn't read it in one go, it was, read a chapter, write an essay, discuss this, and that isn't why I read books. Any book that's assigned where you have to dissect characters, I read for my enjoyment. I don't usually dissect the characters. If I don't like them, I don't finish the book.
Metamorphosis. I hate that book to this day. I hate it for many reasons. I thought it just dumb, and they become a cockroach, I think, and it was wretched. It was so hard to get into, and you're like, what is this? How does this make sense, and how is this a famous work that I'm mandated to read? I hated it.
Yeah. I hated assigning it because the book itself is so dry, and the kids didn't like it either. So eventually I got a different book. It was Johnny Tremain. Johnny Tremain was kind of, I guess he was an orphan, and he was apprenticing to a silversmith, and he ends up burning his hand and it was treated poorly so that all of his fingers fused together. And then who was the doctor during the Revolutionary War that was so famous? But he was part of the Sons of Liberty, and he separated his fingers from him. Just the way it was written, it was very dry, very boring. But I wanted to have something that had related to early American history. So I ended up with My Brother Sam is Dead, which is better, and it takes place in the same time period.
So that one took me a long time to think of something, actually, because I was like the nerd that loved English class in school and pretty much loved everything. But Beowulf, definitely. In the 9th grade, I struggled through Beowulf. I'm not well versed in Old English.
So in college, I had to read Dante's Inferno, which I don't honestly remember that much about it, except I just remember thinking while I was reading that, like, how can something be this dramatic and also this boring at the same time? Like, just descriptions of things, and I know there's a lot of symbolism and stuff in it, but I didn't care about it, and I think a lot of the references and things that they were making were just things that weren't really common anymore. So I think at the time, like, his audience would have understood, but just in modern times, I didn't relate to any of the references that they were making and things like that, and I just found it was really, like, over the top dramatic to me and just kind of boring. Like, it didn't pique my interest at all. I love Dante's Peak, but I hated Dante's Inferno.
I don't even really remember so much, like, the plot details of the book, but I read it in high school. It's called Ethan Frome. Well, I think it, like, even opens up with someone, like, basically the crowd pointing, hey, look, there's that miserable guy. Here's the story of why he's so miserable. And you find out, and you're miserable reading through it, everything is misery. And that's Ethan Frome. It's, oh God, no, so he marries a woman who hates him. But he loves her sister. That's why he marries her.
Because he loves her sister.
I think.
Why did she agree to marry him if she hates him?
I don't know. Like, these are details I don't remember, but I remember it's like, he's married to a woman, but he loves another woman, and that other woman loves him. But I think, like, the woman he's in love with is sisters of his wife. I'm not 100% sure. Someone can correct me. But they decide that because they're so miserable, because they can't be together, that they're going to kill themselves together. So it's like a suicide pact. They get on this sled. Oh no, that's what it is. His wife he needs to constantly take care of his wife. Like there's something wrong with her where he needs to constantly take care of. And then him and the woman he's actually in love with, they decide they're gonna get out of this. So they get on a sled and they're gonna go down this hill into a tree. That's their plan. Kill themselves together. Turns out they just like basically get half paralyzed each. Don't die. He's sort of paralyzed. She's like really paralyzed. So now he's miserable. Didn't die and has to take care of both of these women. And now I think
he's paralyzed.
Yeah, he's half paralyzed. He's got it's like the right side of his body is like really messed up or something.
How do you take care of two people?
Right. And so like that's the end of the book is okay. Now they're all miserable together, and he's even more miserable because he has to take care of all these miserable people who hate him.
Romeo and Juliet I could definitely talk about because I hated it so much. Like, it was just, they gave us mounds of assignments to do for this thing, and it made no sense at all. It was just like weird phrasings of words, and it just didn't make sense at all. God, not a fan of Shakespeare at all. I'm not really a huge, Shakespeare person.
Probably something about Shakespeare. Actually no. Romeo and Juliet is Shakespeare. I cannot read that book. It's the worst assigned reading ever. The times I'm just not caught up with the words. It's like every other word I just had to look up what it meant, and I just had a hard time reading it. And it's like in a play form, so it's like confusing.
Well, because it is a play.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I have to read a play. However, I love to read, but anytime someone tells me I need to read a book, I don't want to read it. So I would say all of them.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for watching. What would you have said? Comment down below with your answer and let's keep the conversation going. See you next time.